Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum ji. I'm Hamza Abbasi, and today I'm extremely privileged, and it's a pleasure to be on this very, very distinguished platform, reviving the Islamic spirit. It's a very, very big opportunity for somebody like me, a very humble student of Islam, to be able to talk to so many learned people, so many passionate people, so many people who have dedicated either their whole lives or part of their lives to Islam. So it's a very, very, I'm very honored for this opportunity, so thank you very much. I'll just introduce myself briefly. My name is Hamza Abbasi, and many of you might know me as an artist from Pakistan, as a filmmaker, as an artist, as an actor, as a media personality from Pakistan. But for the past 7-8 years, there was a parallel track in my personal life, which not many people were familiar with. They are now. And that parallel track was me trying to find answers to the existential questions of my life. I think every one of us has had those moments in life when we think about ourselves, about the existence around us, about the fact that I am conscious and I will die one day. I mean, death is coming very soon to all of us, and we're going to leave everything material behind. I think everyone, every sane person or every person with, I think, relatively okay IQ would think about this phenomenon that we call life, this phenomenon that we call existence. I'm sure everybody has those moments, and I had those moments too. But my problem was that I had to know, I had to find the answer. That is there something after we die, or is there nothing? Is there a God, or gods, or lack thereof? Is there a purpose to life, or is life just a mere accident, a very, very big accident, and we're just really, really lucky to be here? So I had to find those answers, because the fact is we live only once and we will die very soon. And if we comprehend what is life and what is death, then we will all be forced to ask these questions. There was a time in my life when I became an agnostic, I think from 18, 19 till 26, 27. So I was an agnostic at that time, because unfortunately the religious there's a lot of religious dogma in the world. So that is why most of the people who are searching for the answers to their existential questions, there's an increasing trend in the world to be more of a spiritualist, so believe in an impersonal God and not believe in religion, or at least organized religion. So I became a little bit of that briefly. But what brought me back was one document that I think we are all taking very for granted in the Muslim world, and that's the Quran. I was blessed enough that Allah Ta'ala gave me the tawfiq to study the Quran. But I had to clear, or I had to cleanse myself of all the biases, of all the political biases, of all the cultural biases, social biases, religious or sectarian biases for that matter. I had to cleanse myself of all of these biases, and then go towards the Quran, then to go towards the Sirat of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his Sunnah. That is where I found all my answers. I was very lucky to discover, I was very blessed to discover that even within Islam, when it comes to the religious thought, remember there is deen. Deen is the message of Allah, the deen of Allah, the religion of Allah. But we must understand that the religious thought is human work. That is not divine. It's done by great human beings and aima. But religious thought is basically human beings interpreting Allah Ta'ala's or God's message. And when you interpret God's message, that's human work. It's bound to have shortcomings, it's bound to have mistakes, it's bound to have interpretations which were maybe acceptable 100 years ago, or 300 years ago, or 500 years ago, and are not acceptable today. There are interpretations in Islam which are not in line with the known truths of science. And there's no shame in admitting it. I think it's a very progressive thing, it's a very brave thing that we admit that yes, there are some aspects of our religious thought which don't provide answers to a modern educated mind, to a scientific mind, to a critical mind. They don't provide some of the questions, they don't provide the answers, apt answers to those questions. And yeah, I was a victim of that. I could not find the right answers to some of the questions I had from the mainstream religious sources. And then I was lucky enough to stumble upon Javed Ahmed Ghamidi Saab, and I ended up finding my answers there. The last bit, the last 10% of my questions were cleared here, and hence, after all of these years, I'm sitting here now in Dallas. I'm a part of the Ghamidi Center of Islamic Learning, and I'm a student now of Islam, and I'm trying to share the answers I got or the answers I will get with the people and do my fair share. However small, however insignificant, I'm trying to do my share so that I could get the brownie points from Allah Ta'ala on the Day of Judgment. And you all be my witnesses, please, that I was talking about him. So yeah, that was my very brief journey. It spanned over many years. Quran brought me back. Seerat of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam brought me back. And one thing more. There was a time when I started looking at Islam as not just a religion founded by a man named Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam 1445 years ago, but when I started looking at Islam as what it is, as what the Quran calls it. It calls it the tradition of Abraham alayhi salam. So when I started looking at Islam as this beautiful castle of guidance made by the divine himself, a castle of guidance that spans over multiple territories, that spans over thousands of years. There are thousands of individuals testifying to the fact from Abraham to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, thousands of years. There are so many people testifying that God has spoken to them. There are nations, ummahs, Bani Israel before us and Muslims now, who have been testifying for thousands of years that the Lord of this universe talked to people, humans from among us, Abraham, David, Solomon, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, peace be upon them all. These are all people, and then there are nations who are testifying to a message. So when I looked at Islam as not just an individual phenomenon, but as a phenomenon which spans, which is transatlantic is not the right word, which is spans from one continent to another, from the Arabian continent to the Arabian Peninsula to the Mediterranean. I saw all of that, and then I indulged myself with the privilege of studying many of the things, and I realized that we need to see Islam ourselves and take it to the world as such a multi-dimensional phenomenon involving thousands of people in so many territories, all connected in this beautiful castle that we call Islam, which started from this guidance we call Islam, this message we call Islam, started from Adam, Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, then made specific to the children of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, and then ended on Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It involves two nations, the nation of Bani Israel, a nation raised by God himself to testify to his message to the world. Then us Muslims, Bani Ismail, and then later on Muslims, who now till the Day of Judgment are given this huge responsibility of trying to understand God's message constantly themselves, constantly try to understand it and then take it to the world. That is our duty, that is our mission, that is what we're supposed to do as an ummah. So yeah, that's what I did, looked at Islam as an Abrahamic tradition ending on Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam rather than an individual isolated Arabian phenomenon. That helped me a lot in trying to make sense of this, again, this beautiful castle of guidance, I call it, that Allah Ta'ala has made for all of us till the Day of Judgment. So that was my thought process I wanted to share with all of you. And lastly, I would want to request 2 or 3 things. This platform, amazing platform, I educated myself more on this platform. It's a great international phenomenon. It's a great opportunity to present Islam to the world. And as the title says, reviving the Islamic spirit. I want to highlight here that for me, in my humble opinion, what the Islamic spirit was. The Islamic spirit was during the time of, if we say Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi, Imam Maliki, these big Imams, researching on Islam, researching on religious thought, coming up with ideas, interpretations, laws, fiqh, jurisprudence. Then there is criticism, then there is debate. There was a very healthy tradition in Islam, which I believe, in my very humble opinion, that this tradition of research, this tradition of criticism, this tradition of learning, this tradition of free exchange of ideas, that has been compromised in the past 300, 350 years. I think post-colonial era of the Muslims, we have let go of this beautiful, amazing tradition, the tradition through which the ilm of Islam, we've made Islam into a very sacred thing, which is only to be felt and not to be learnt and not to be pondered upon. So we need to revive this tradition of taking Islam as an ilm, as a form of knowledge, so that first we can talk within ourselves on the religious thought of Islam. And by the way, it's not just me saying it. Don't confuse the two things. I'm not saying we reconstruct deen or religion. I'm saying religious thought, which is human work. And it's not just me. Allama Iqbal Rahmatullah Alayh, one of the finest poets of our generation, the previous generation, one of the finest poets of South Asia, somebody who felt very, very deeply for Muslims, somebody who gave his life to the dream of getting a country for the Muslims. He suggested that 1445 years is a very long time. 1,400 years carries a lot of cultural baggage, a lot of political baggage, a lot of sectarian baggage. We've had empires, we've had breakups of empires, we've had political turmoils, we've had power struggles in the past 1445 years. That's a lot of baggage. So Allama Iqbal suggested that we reconstruct the religious thought in Islam. He said there's a great need for the reconstruction of religious thought in Islam. I agree with him. I agree with Qaid Azam, Rahmatullah Alayh, when he made Department of Reconstruction of Religious Thought in Islam. We need to do this. It's been very long overdue. And here's why we need to do this. Number one, we are an ummah. When we say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when I accept Muhammad ibn Abdullah as Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as the ambassador of God on earth, as the last man to be in touch with the divine, as the last man to tell us the will of God, as the last man till the day of judgment, who's going to tell us what deen is, deen ke tanha makhiz, Aap sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Our duty is, according to his message, that we are an ummah. And what we are supposed to do is, till the day of judgment, every Muslim has a duty to do his best and give it his most honest shot in trying to understand the message of God himself first or herself first, and then take it to the world. Take it in their immediate circles and then to the world as much as we can. And here I think this forum, RIS, can play a huge role. It spans in many countries. It's not restricted by any nationality. If we look at today, many of the scholars would agree that we live in the end times, we live in the Dawr of Fitan. And at this time, we have a very, very big opportunity. Yes, this is an age of turmoil, it's an age of fitna, agreed. But if you notice, there is great opportunity. The same countries where you could talk about Islam or Allah Ta'ala and get your head chopped off, it's not that world anymore. Today in 2020, we have exceptional freedoms, especially in the Western world, especially in Europe, in Canada, in US. We have unprecedented freedoms. We will not get into any trouble if we talk about Islam, if we talk about Allah Ta'ala, if we talk about Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We won't get into any trouble, I think, throughout the world, except a few countries. So this gives us an opportunity to fulfill our duty as an ummah, that now we first try and give it our best shot in understanding Islam ourselves. And I'm talking to the educated minds, to the young minds, to the youngsters, to aspiring doctors, aspiring engineers, aspiring scientists, aspiring anything, to the Muslim youth. It's, I think, the last door that we're living in. And the responsibility is even bigger on Muslims to understand Allah's message ourselves first, to keep checking ourselves, to keep checking us Muslims, that have we made any mistakes in the past or present? Did we miss out on something? We keep checking our understanding of Allah Ta'ala's message. We keep checking it. That's the behavior that if you adopt in any form of knowledge, that form of knowledge grows, that science grows. So we need to do the same with Islam. We need to keep educating ourselves, keep an eye on our ilmi, academic world of Islam. They should keep an eye on the fact that are we constantly updating our religious thought? Are we constantly keeping a check on it? Are we constantly trying to correct it? So we understand Allah's message, we apply it to the fullest of our capability on our lives first. And then our duty now in this last Daur. We're a very special generation, by the way. We're in the last times. So our duty is to very peacefully, because we don't need violence to talk about God, to give His message to the world. We don't need violence. We only need effort. आज अगर मैं उर्दू में अपने पाकिस्तानी भाइयों बहनों के लिए बात कर सकूं कि जो जन्नत का सौदा है वो बड़ा सस्ता बिक रहा है आजकल. पहले आप देखें सहाबा रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हुम जंगें हैं, गर्दनें पेश कर रहे हैं, जानों के नजराने पेश हो रहे हैं, जहाँ जहाँ कभी हबशा हिजरत हो रही है, कभी मदीना हिजरत हो रही है, कभी किसी का जुल्म, कभी किसी का जुल्म. आज वो दौर नहीं है. आज वी कैन गो to any place in the world, give the message of Allah Ta'ala, and nobody will try to hurt us, at least in most of the world. So I hope that this platform could maybe lead the way to unite the Muslim youth in trying to understand Islam, making it a part of your life, making Judgment Day the biggest concern of your life, making making salvation the biggest concern of your life, making happiness of Allah Ta'ala the biggest concern of your life, us going into Jannat the biggest concern of your life, and then taking it to the world. If we do this, if our generation does these two things, in my humble opinion, if we try to understand Allah's message ourselves first, implement it in our lives, keep looking for mistakes that we've made or any aspect needs upgrade, if we keep doing that and then fulfill our duties and then taking the message to the world, we'll be making Allah Ta'ala very happy. So I hope that I'll get an opportunity to talk to you again. I hope that in our lifetimes we make enough efforts that we end up in a very good place on the day of judgment in front of Allah Ta'ala. And I hope that this platform will grow exponentially in the future. I hope this platform gives that manpower that Islam needs today, that manpower which will take the message of Allah to the world in a way that they understand us, in a way that is peaceful, in a way that is orderly, in a way that is intellectual. And I hope that next year maybe I'll get an opportunity to talk again. So till now, again, so grateful, so kind of all of you to have me. It's a great encouragement, and I hope I'll see you next year too. So thank you, RIS, and God bless you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.